it's not over till it's over.
Mm.
And we can always reset and restart. And I'm proof of it because you can't fight forever. That when I retired from fighting, that was really hard. I have a skill set, but not the same skill set I used to have. But I'm still here. So it's not over till it's over. And don't give up. Don't lose hope. And when you do decide to do something, do it with everything. There are no shortcuts, and get with the right people. And it's okay to fail. Failure can launch you.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Whistlekick Martial Arts Radio. And on today's episode, I'm joined by Bridgett Riley. Bridgett, thank you so much for being here. Looking forward to our conversation. And to all of you out there, if you're new to the show, please make sure you check out whistlekickmartialartsradio.com. It's the place to go for the full show notes, the transcript, all the links, all the things that we talk about, any of the stuff that Bridgett sends over for us to share with you. It's all going to be referenced there. Now, of course, we are more than this podcast. The ways that we connect, educate, and entertain all of you is bigger than martial arts radio. Go to whistlekick.com and find out about our events, our training programs, our apparel, protective equipment, and a whole bunch of other stuff that we're doing to support you, the traditional martial artists of the world. And Bridgett, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel very grateful. And yeah, cool.
Awesome. Well, you are my fourth recording of the day, and I tend to have these themes as I go through day by day. And today's theme has been a little bit more, how do you want to start? So I'm going to ask you that question. We're here to talk about martial arts and your journey. How do you want to start?
I'm open. So, like, I'm just easy peasy lemon squeezy. So, what else? What
Okay.
else?
All right. Well, then let's take the we're going to take the easy way out. We're going to rewind the tape and we're going to go back to what is your first experience with martial arts?
Okay, wow, we're going way back. My first experience with martial arts is so I was a gymnast. So I came up doing gymnastics and I was decent, but I wasn't great. And
Mm,
I wanted to be great. And
mm,
my brother, my little brother, we're like Irish twins. He was in karate. And I mean,
mhm,
he was in it. He was like a little
mm,
Bruce Lee. And I'd always go to his karate tournaments and he'd always come to my gymnastic meets. And I don't know, just the more I kept going to his karate tournaments and I'd see the girls sparring and the camaraderie, I was like,
mm,
I bet I can do that. I
mm.
really do. And he would laugh at me, he would make fun of me. And I was just like, I decided, I talked to my mom and dad and I said, I think I want to stop gymnastics and get into karate. And they're like, what?
Wow. How
Because
long had you been doing gymnastics at that point?
so I started really late. I started at 9,
Okay,
but I caught up really fast and I
sure.
got to a place where it was 7 days a week. It was my whole life. So gymnastics, and it's an investment,
Yeah.
and my family, put a lot into it. But I was just, I wanted to be in karate. And they said,
Mm,
okay, honey, if you really, really want to do this, let's do it. So at like, God, I was like 15 and a half. That's when I walked in as a white belt. Well, actually, I kept watching. I go,
mhm,
let me watch a class and check it out.
yeah.
And then they're like, okay. So I watched one. Then they're like, okay, you want to jump in? The next night, I was like, I need to watch one more. And then they said, okay. So this went on for like 5 days. I was nervous. I was really
Yeah.
intimidated.
But
I
you'd
was
but you'd
nervous.
committed to ending gymnastics.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was I was done. I just felt like gymnastics was becoming a job,
Mm.
and I don't know, I wanted to do karate so bad, but I was nervous, especially when I was there and I was a big
You do
chicken.
so long time audience members might remember. I haven't talked about this much for a while, but I coached a boys rec gymnastics program for a few years. And so I
Really?
got to see, yeah, I got to see that contrast. So we're training, it's in the same, of course, the same gym as the girls. There wasn't a boys competitive team at this gym, but I got to see the girls and talking about, you said you started late at 9, and that might make people say, well, no, no, that is late. You're generally, if you're going to go anywhere with gymnastics, you're on the floor at what you're saying. It would have said 3.
Yeah.
I'm sure it depends on the gym and how they're starting people, but you need those years of conditioning. Your joint ligaments, tendons, joints, strength, muscle, all that stuff. I mean, that's really what the first 5, 6, 7 years is. You're doing very little skill. It's a lot of conditioning, and it's quite serious. And you see a lot of girls burn out.
Yes. I kind of
And
got burnt out. And I got a little fearful.
mm,
I'm like, the tricks were getting really hard. And, back then it was class 3, 2, 1 elite. And, I got to 2. And at the end, I just about was getting ready to go into class 1.
mhm,
And, I just, full disclosure, I was getting a little fearful, and
yeah,
that's not good. And I was balking, and I started to, it's like I had a Sukahara for my vault, and
mhm,
I'd have it, I'd totally have it, no problem, and then I would chicken out, and then I would have it, and then I would, I just kept going through all that, and it's so, so much is mental, and so
yeah,
much, it just affects you, and I felt guilty, like I cannot
mm,
go out like a big chicken, but then then I'm watching these girls fight, and a lot of people were like, "You're crazy. Why would you want to do that?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's the most exciting thing on planet Earth. Are you kidding me?"
mm,
And yeah, it was a decision, and it was the best decision I made.
right.
One of them.
So you watched class after class after class, waiting to be comfortable, or was there something else that needed to happen for you?
I think I was waiting to have the cojones. I was just like, and then they kept saying, come on, jump, jump, jump in. And I was
Mm,
just like, all right, you know what? I have to do it. I have to
yeah,
do it. I can't keep procrastinating.
sure.
So I jumped in there, and I was home. I was like, this is where
Really?
I belong. Instantly. I
Mm.
knew it. I'm like, I'm
Were you
right
in the
where
same class as your brother?
I was. So
Was
we would
that,
all
did that
be
make it
mixed.
easier or harder for you?
Probably easier. A little bit of both. I mean, I didn't get, of course, invited to the sparring where he was, because he was a black belt. He was so amazing. That took time. That took time. But they normally didn't let you spar right away, and they let me because I said I want to. It's just so weird. It's like once I got in there, all the fear was gone. It's kind of like the same thing when I used to kickbox.
Mm,
All the way up. That behind, when you're getting ready in the locker room, the walk up, inside my inner monologue is, I'm terrified. What am I doing? And I can't let people know it. I'm a fraud. And then
mm,
get in that ring, the stare down, which is like my favorite. But then once the bell rings, it's gone. It's on. And it's so kind of a similar thing. It was like once you get past that fear and you face it and you walk through it, it just boom, just
mm.
everything opens up.
The stare down for a fight is your favorite? You like
I
that?
love it. I love
Okay.
it. I
Okay.
just,
We're building a picture of who you are. Why?
cuckoo. No.
No,
Uh,
it's not
yeah.
a judgment. Not at all a
Mhm.
judgment.
I'm not mad at you, but yeah, I love all that. I love that. Like, oh gosh, it's on, like
Mm,
we are about to get down, and it's
yeah.
just like intense, and all these emotions, and it's like, okay, it's time, now when I'm looking at her, it's you and
Mm,
me, and it's gonna be me. So that's kind of my
mm,
whole attitude. Like, come on, like I
yeah.
just get geeked up. It's
Mm.
thrilling.
So let's talk about what happened in between there, because I'm imagining you didn't start kickboxing, day 2 in class. So you get in there, it's feeling like home, you're loving it. you're challenging, maybe some boundaries because you're feeling comfortable and you want to embrace this and make it yours. Did you find that you had, some natural talent for it, or did you have to work really hard?
So I felt like um, traditional hard style karate, it was coming very easy for me. I had the flexibility, I
Hmm.
had the balance, I had power. I was a powerful gymnast. And it was coming really easy.
Mm.
And I loved it. You couldn't get me out of there. I was like, what,
Really?
I didn't want to, I was like I want to be the first one there and the last one to leave.
Wow.
And I loved it so much. I was like, let's go. I wanted to go every night. I wanted to go, you couldn't keep me out of there. And so I climbed very quickly,
Mm.
but I loved the karate tournaments. That was where I was just like, this is the best thing in the world. And with my
Why?
brother, and I loved it. I loved sparring. Right away, I was real aggressive. And back then, it's 100 years ago, I was fighting little boys. They threw us all together,
Mhm.
and I was beating all of them. And I was just like, this is great. I just loved it. I loved forms. I loved sparring. I loved sparring the most.
So you're jumping in, you're changing from something that let's face it, you said 15 and a half is when you made this change. It's anybody who's been 15 and a half knows how hard it is to be a teenager, right? We all know. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It's
Yeah.
your best days are half miserable because people are ruthless.
Yes.
And what I'm finding interesting is you left something that was generally accepted to be done as a teenage girl to go do something that is rarely accepted by anyone at any time.
Yes.
Now, I don't
That's
know if the kids in your school were as merciless as the ones in mine, but even if they were better, I can't imagine that they were high-fiving you for making this change.
School was a trip because I had gone to Catholic school, grade, kindergarten through eighth, and then I said I want to go to public school,
Mhm.
and that was another big change,
Mm,
because all the girls were going to private, all girl high schools.
sure.
And I was like, I want to be with boys and co-ed. And my
Mhm.
mom's like, okay, if that's what you want to do, we're going to do it. So, um, and then coming in, everybody knew everybody. So
Mm,
I didn't know anybody. It was rare, because all my Catholic girlfriends went to Catholic high school. So that was kind of a trip. And then they changed the boundaries in our neighborhood. So my brother went to a different high school. I was like, and then his best friend was at Oakville. So I was like, okay, at least I've got him. But yeah, high school was a little, freshman year was tough. Sophomore year was
mm.
tough. I think getting into karate, people thought it was cool. They're like,
Really?
and it was so rare back then. Like now,
Okay.
everybody, their mom is in karate. Like
Sure.
it's so much more popular now. Like Starbucks on every corner, like MMA gyms, and I'm like, wow. Back then, I was kind of a rare thing, and I think I stood out more, and it really helped me come out of my shell. It really helped me get more confidence because in gymnastics, I was still kind of a wallflower and a little shy and
Mhm.
kind of geeky. I had my big glasses, and we finally got me contact lenses. And but the girls in gymnastics can be mean, and I just remembered I don't like being around a lot of girls.
Mm.
I just didn't like it. They're mean, and I wasn't little Miss Popular girl. When I got into karate and I had this camaraderie with all the guys, and I just fit.
Right.
And
Mhm. So you're saying with all the guys, were there women in the program?
a couple,
Yeah.
but not a lot. So
Yeah.
I it was just kind of cool. I was like, I was
Mm,
one of the guys though, I was just one of the boys.
sure. Okay.
Mm.
So you start doing competitions, you're really enjoying that. You're finding your competitive outlet.
Yes.
Did
In a
any of
different
that,
way.
yeah, did any of that fear that you were finding with some of the more advanced work in gymnastics, did that show up in any way in competition, in
I was
martial arts
always
competition?
so in like in the karate tournaments,
Yeah.
yeah, I was always really, really nervous, but it was an exciting nervous. And it's just like once I got in there, it just all those nerves go away.
Mm,
And and I was just like, man, this is awesome.
mm. And so what's the next point on the journey for us to talk about? Is it college?
Well, I didn't
Leaving high
go.
school, something changes. Okay. So what does that look like over the next few years then for you as it relates to martial arts?
So, so since I stopped gymnastics in high school, I was able to try out audition, try out, and we had cheerleaders, but we also had Golden Girls, not the TV show, no, no, but
Can,
it the Golden Girls. It sounds so
that
old.
would be a great team though. I don't
Maybe.
know what it would be, but that would be fun. I would go to those games.
So I got to dance, and because of gymnastics and the floor exercise, we had dance. I just was a natural. I never trained in dancing, but I thought I'm going to try out
Mhm.
for this. And so I became a Golden Girl, and it was a lot of fun.
Mm,
And I was dancing, I was doing karate tournaments, and just like the karate, I really picked up the dancing. And I had such a great time, and things started changing, and life got a lot of fun my junior senior year, and busy. And then once I got my black belt, um, and I'm competing and competing,
mhm,
and I just started to kind of get disqualified here and there because in karate it's a game of tag. It's
mhm,
who's the fastest, bang, stop, call for points, where I want to keep hitting. And I'm
mm,
like, I'll take your shot to give my shot, and I just want to
mm.
keep hitting. And they're like, you ought to try continuous fighting. So
So,
back then,
somebody pulled you aside and said, maybe this isn't the sparring format for you.
they're
I've known
like,
a few
let's
like
take it
that.
to, yeah, right. Let's go to the next level.
Yeah.
So I did like a continuous sparring thing
Yeah.
at this event. I was like, this is really cool. And then all the guys started kickboxing back then. This was back in St. Louis and
Mhm,
Belleville, Illinois, which were really close. And this was with Jim Boucher, who was connected with Kick, and he goes, well, and he's the one who named me Baby Doll. Since I'm like 15, I've been called Baby Doll. And he goes, Baby
okay.
Doll, do you want to do kickboxing? I'm like, yeah, put me in that ring, man. I'm ready. Come on. And he goes, okay. So he tried to find me a fight. He could not find an amateur fight. So he said, listen, and because back then it wasn't that popular. And he said, if you really want to do this, you got to go pro. We got to turn you pro right off the bat. I said, let's go. So I never had
Well,
an
we
amateur
got
fight.
we got to pause in here because I've got to know what your parents are thinking about this.
My parents were so like, are you sure? And I'm like, yes, yes. And they're like, they were so supportive. They're like, whatever, just whatever I wanted to do, they were just really behind me. They were very edifying. And they were nervous, but
Mhm.
my dad was just like, get them. He loved it. He's always like, you beat up little boys back when you weren't supposed to. So let's go. And so I was just like, okay, let's do it. So my very first fight, which is my pro debut,
Mhm.
I fought the US champion at that time from Kansas City, Sweet Denise Taylor. She'd
How
already
old are
had
you? How old are you at this time?
I was like, I think I was 19.
Okay.
I was pretty young. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, 19 or 20, and we went um it was in St. Louis. So she came in, and she'd already fought Kathy Long. She'd already fought, like all these great fighters, and maybe I was just too stupid to know better, but I was like, let's do this. And She was so nice to me. I just remember at the the press conference and all the, you know, the marketing we were doing. She was just like, this little girl, I'm gonna kick the crap out of her. I could just see it, and she was being so nice to me, and she was great. But we fought and I won. It was 5 rounds and I
Mm.
won. And she was livid. She grabbed the microphone out of the ring announcer's hand and said, I want a rematch. I got robbed. This is a hometown decision. Let's do it again in my hometown. This is BS. And I was just like, okay. So, like a month later, we went to Kansas City, her hometown. There were signs everywhere. I kid you not. Signs, saying, this sweet Denise, sweet Denise. I got booed when I'm walking up to the ring. I'm like, whoa. But
Like
that
pro wrestling
motivated
or
me.
something.
It
That's in,
motivated me.
yeah.
So, yep, I ended up like busting her nose and I cut her, and they had to stop the fight in the third round. So I won by TKO. So it was
So she
cool.
must be losing her mind at that point.
She was pretty cool. She grabbed the mic
Mm.
again and she just said, I cannot take anything away from you. You did it. You totally won this fight. And she tipped her hat off to me. She was very respectful. And it was pretty cool.
That's really cool. So what's that feeling? Because those are your first two fights, right? I would imagine a month later you didn't have anything in between.
Yeah, those were my first two fights. So I
So
was
you're
hooked.
you're 2-0 with at least
No,
one of the best people in the division.
yeah, no experience. I really didn't have any
W-
experience.
Okay, I'm
And
glad you
I
said it.
was
I didn't
rough.
want to
Yeah.
say it. And what's going through your mind at this point?
I
You
said I
know,
want more. I want a world
more.
title. I want to go all the way. I love
Okay.
this. I was absolutely addicted and hooked, and I thought it was indestructible. I really did. I was like, let's go. And I was green, and I was rough around the edges,
Mm,
and we just kept getting me more fights, and
hmm
not a lot, but I just wanted to stay busy as you could get back
mm,
then, because fights fell out, girls got hurt, girls backed out. There was a lot of that. And I took a fight that I wasn't ready for. And it was against
mm,
Ramona Gatto, who is, bad girl. And
mhm.
we went out to California. Kathy Long was there. It was a
By the way,
big
for the
show.
audience, Kathy Long was on episode 274. She's become a
Ah,
bit of a friend, which is one of the trippiest parts of my life. To get a text message from someone that you've looked up to for a long time, and they send you a meme or something. There are a few folks like that. This
pretty
is
cool.
she's an amazing woman. She's so cool. But please continue.
Amazing,
Yeah,
amazing all the
such
way around.
such a
All
good
the way
heart.
around. Oh my
She's
gosh.
yeah.
She's incredible. And she was why, well, I'll get to that, but she was such an inspiration for me, for pretty much every female in the sport,
Mm,
and men. Man. And yeah, she was there and I was like, well, I I came in heavy. There, not to make all these excuses, but I lost, and I lost that fight badly,
mm.
and I was devastated. I
Was
was
it your first
devastated.
loss?
Yes,
Okay.
and it was on a big scale.
What was your record at that point?
I don't even remember. I'm so horrible with like my
Okay.
timeline and my facts. I'm
Okay.
horrible like
That's
that.
okay.
Too many
That's
too
okay.
many concussions. But I didn't have a lot of experience, and I dropped all this weight the night before like an idiot. I came in heavy, and I did a hard weight cut, and completely unhealthy. And, you do what you got to do. And then the ring broke. Like I was kind of doing okay, and the ring broke, and it was cold. And we were outside, and so there it was like a 10-minute break, and they fixed the ring, and we continued. And man, she got me in the corner, and she just let go, and I went down. I got back
Yeah.
up. Boom, 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 boom. We go, 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 go. Boom, I got dropped. I got back
Mm,
up. And then they stopped it. I was like, what? What? I was devastated. I did not want to come out. And I remember Kathy Long talked to me. She said, it's okay. You're all right. Get back in there, get back up on your horse. And she gave me
mm,
so much encouragement. I was just like, wow. That's when I decided, I got back to St. Louis, that I need I need to move. I loved my people. I loved
Mm,
Jim Boucher. I mean, I was with him through karate, through kickboxing. He practically raised me, and that was a very hard thing to leave my people. But I knew I have to go be with somebody else if I really want to do this. And my brother Patrick, who is amazing. He kept and my dad, they kept throwing black belt magazines in front of my face, with Kathy on the cover, all these, and they're like, if you want to get there, if you want to be that, you really want to do this, you got to go out to LA, you got to go out to California, and you need to go to the Jet Center. And I was like, okay. I I had $100, my Nissan 200X. I drove across the country.
it's a
I
great car.
showed up. Isn't it a great car?
That was a
I
great car.
love that car. Oh, if that car could talk.
Yeah.
That car was my baby. And I got out there, and I didn't have any idea if Sensei Benny the Jet Yakitas was going to even be there. And this is the original Jet Center on Friar Street in Van Nuys, California. And I just show up. I mean, like, what an idiot. You couldn't even do that. I had nothing scheduled, nothing planned, but I was there. And I walk in and I see this sign, $15 to train for the day. And I already had it out. I had my money. And I look up and Sensei Benny is right there. And I was just like, huh. I was starstruck. I was like, oh my gosh, he's here. Because he could be doing seminars or on a movie. And he happened to be there because it was all meant to be. And I had my money, and I said, I would like to train today. And he's like, huh, okay, Mija, what's your plan? I said, I'm going to be the next world champion. And he said, keep your money, go get dressed. Let's see what you got, kid. And that was like music to my ears.
Mm.
So I get out there, and I'm sparring some guy from Canada, some guy. And that's when I meet Lily, his sister. Lily, the in my opinion, one of the best females ever to
Mm,
fight. And she came up with all of them, talk about hardcore.
yeah.
And when I saw Lily, I was like, oh my gosh, this is too good. This is too good. And she made a beeline to me, and we had this connection from the start. And she said, Mija, let's see what you got. And they
Mm.
watched me, and she talked to me for a long time. And she drilled me, she questioned me, she drilled me. And she said, you got it. You're rough and you're green, but you got it. And if you're serious about this, we'll take over your career. And I just said, done. Cause so that was my golden ticket.
Few people on the show who have trained with Benny. Benny's been on the show 816, if I've got that right.
Good memory.
But well, no, I cheated. I looked, but
Oh,
I also looked like a minute ago. So yeah, 816. So it's not, there are very few episodes that I remember. There are a handful that I do, but not too many. But I remember talking to Benny, and what I remember more is talking to a handful of other people who had a very similar story to you. This idea that I knew this is the place that I wanted to go. I didn't plan anything ahead. I just went. I just showed up.
yep.
And in every single story I've heard that, Benny opens the door. I've never heard a story where Benny Urquidez says, no. And there's something special about that. There's something special about that venue. And I've never been there. I've never actually I shouldn't I've done, this smidge of seminar work that at seminars that he's led. But I'm pretty confident in saying there's something special about that space.
Absolutely.
Something that
Absolutely.
I don't think I've ever heard described anywhere else. I've heard it described about people.
Hmm.
I haven't heard it described in such a way that it's the same place popping up time and again. But please continue.
It was such a special time, because back then, I mean, and it was the original Jet Center, and it was special because what I loved about Benny and Blinky Rodriguez was Lily's husband, and he became my manager. So it was Blinky, and he did a lot for everybody, for all the
Mm,
fighters. He was a mastermind behind a lot of the business and the getting us fights and publicity. And Blinky, God, he was my manager, and Lily was my trainer. And what was so cool about them is, as kickboxers, they had such a strong emphasis on pure boxing. They
mm,
they um they knew all the gyms in LA. And these gyms are not in the yellow pages back then. That's what we had. They knew where to go. All these nostalgic boxing gyms, and they
mm,
had a lot of the greats in history, legends that would uh, come to the Jet Center to work with them or help them. So it was an advantage, because not only was I learning kickboxing and really getting good and sharp, I was learning boxing, and I
mm,
had an advantage. I felt like I just had better hands than any girl I stepped in the ring with, and I loved that. And I mean, Peter Sugarfoot Cunningham was constantly
mm.
working with me. Roger Ewan, who's in films and an amazing martial artist. I had these great people. Lily would say, work with my girl, work with my girl. It was a special place, and she handpicked all the people that would work with me, and I was just like, I was so fortunate. I was like, man, I couldn't wait to go to sleep, to get up, to go do that, to go train.
Were you working too?
Yes. So when I
Okay.
first got there, oh, and Lily
Because
found my
I'm
apartment.
I'm doing the math on this and I'm going, okay, even if they're not taking your money, even if they're just taking a cut, you know, the prizes weren't that big,
No,
and
it was
it's
horrible.
not adding up. So what were you
And
doing
I
for
had
work?
no money. I really didn't not have a lot of money,
Sure.
but Lily found me a little teeny tiny studio apartment,
Mhm,
and one of my girlfriends, when I moved, because that previous trip was a vacation, and it was to
okay.
test it out, and uh, my girlfriend came out. It was both of us in this teeny tiny box studio in
Mhm,
Van Nuys, and my neighbor was Peter Sugarfoot Cunningham, and the guy I sparred from Canada had to leave. And so it just all fell into place. That
mhm,
apartment opened up. Lily said, get that apartment. And we did. And then I was like, well, I got to get a job. So I had a little bit of experience working at a bank back in St. Louis, and I got a job at a bank. So I would work on my lunch hour, and this is in like Northridge, California.
mhm,
I would run. I didn't care how nasty I was. I was like, I got to get this running. So I'd run on my lunch, and then at night hit the Jet Center for training. And that went on not very long, because a casting director saw me training at the Jet Center. And that's how I got into the entertainment industry.
okay.
Yeah.
And so was that something, I mean, we went out to LA, so was that even a goal? You must have known it was a possibility because Benny was in movies.
Okay. So, full disclosure, I did one low budget film before I moved to LA, because a promoter, Dale Apollo Cook in Oklahoma, um, he had me on a couple of his cards that were great kickboxing. He was doing movies in the
Mhm,
Philippines, and he said, "Baby doll, you want to come do this movie with me?" I'm like, I don't know how to act. Are you kidding me? I'm not. And he goes, "Just let's. It's going to be great." So I went to the Philippines for about 6 weeks, shot this film. I was like, wow. Because in karate, you do demonstrations. So it was,
mhm.
to me, fight choreography, and, was kind of like doing a demo. And I
Okay.
was like, I can do this. And it was great. I worked with these awesome guys, man. And the choreography, I learned on the set. So I did that little movie.
Yeah.
Cut to, I thought I was horrible as an actor. And I'm like, oh gosh, all I want to do is fight now. So when I was at the Jet Center, I was like, if you weren't a part of what I was trying to do, you were in my way. You're in my way. Get out of my way. So this casting director is like, hey, he was, really watching me and kind of creepy. And I was just like, okay. And he was like, asking me questions, do you work? And I was like, yeah, I work at this bank. And he goes, well, I have something for you that I think you should go do. And I said, I'm not an actor. I'm a fighter and I'm here to be the champion. And he said, well, if you work one day, you can probably make as much as you do in a week at the bank. I said, let's go. Let's go. So, right.
He
It was,
knew. He knew how to set it up for you.
he did. He did. And he just went, I go, but I'm not a good actor. He read lines with me. And so I get there and I see all these Asian girls. And I'm just like, huh. I'm like the only white chick. I'm like, what's going on here, man? I don't think I'm supposed to be here. But they let me audition, and it was the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So they liked my read, which was shocking. And they created a tiny little part because they did need to cast Yellow Ranger, which was, an Asian actress. But
You
they
need
liked
to acknowledge that in that first iteration, the Yellow Ranger was Asian and the Black Ranger was black. And come on, guys.
I know.
You could have, but
You could have moved that around a little bit. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I got it, and that's how I got in. And yeah, it was amazing being a Power Ranger. And well, at first I was a putty, humble beginnings, and I would
Mhm.
do creature work, and I was a monster. And then they're like, okay, because they had guys playing female Power Rangers, and that's it's a big no today.
I
Can't
don't
do
think
that.
I knew that.
Yeah, there were guys, and then we had a bunch of Japanese footage also from Saban Entertainment,
Yep,
and
yep.
well, we had to start shooting everything now, and they needed girls in as Pink and Yellow Ranger. So it was great. I got to be a ranger, and I doubled Amy Jo Johnson as a person sometimes, and then because I was a gymnast and she was a gymnast, and then I got to do Yellow Ranger, and then they brought in other people for Pink, so we all were we're doing it, and that was a great run. That was my college years.
Were
That
you
was
enjoying that?
I was, but honestly,
You're kind of hesitant.
I would be on set,
Yeah.
because you wait around a lot, and I'm
Mhm.
thinking I should be training. I should be training. I should be in the gym. I'm missing my training, and
So you didn't waver from your goal. The goal was still world championship.
yes, yes, and I knew I needed to make money, and I knew it was such a great opportunity. I was just like, this is amazing.
It was
I
better
was
money than the bank, right?
Much. And
Okay.
it was still non-union. I didn't even know about SAG. I was like,
Oh
what's
wow.
SAG? SAG. I was like, what? And I did a commercial and I got Taft-Hartley. And then I did something else and I got my SAG card. So I got my SAG card in 94.
Mm,
Didn't take me long, and I
yeah.
was like, wow, okay, this is what union money is like. And I was like, what? You're going to give me what to do what? Oh my gosh. I was tripping. I had no
Mhm.
idea. And I did the first film for the Power Rangers. We shot that, not the second one. So I'll tell you my age. So we did that in Australia and it was an
Mhm.
incredible experience. But after that, I was like, I'm done with the Power Rangers. So then I moved on after that, but it opened up every door for
Yeah.
me. And I was fighting. So I was filming as a stunt woman and fighting kickboxing and boxing. I was just juggling everything
You were taking straight up boxing fights too.
later.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
So
that came later.
what's there's something kind of interesting about that first crop of Power Rangers. Walter Jones
Yes.
has been on the show, um,
Great guy.
and we've talked to others, unfortunately, that are not all still here.
Sad.
Um,
Yes. Horrible.
so yeah,
Sad. Hmm.
yeah. Um, but I'm curious, what did the others on set think about you going off and fighting? Because I can't imagine too many of them, they trained, but I don't imagine very many of them were willing to get knocked around like you were.
That was the cool thing I had over a lot of people, especially when, if I can just jump, I was in a neat position because everybody came to the Jet Center. Everybody wanted to be around the fighters. People wanted to see fighting. And I had that little bit of edge I got to bring to set. I'm the real deal. Yeah. And yeah, on in film, we have to, pull everything back and, of course, never hit your actor. But I would go pretty hard with some stunt guys. And I'm just like, suck it up, Buttercup. Like, come on, man. I like a little contact. I think it just
Mm,
raises it a little bit. And so that was pretty cool. I don't know what the actors really thought. I mean, I think, actors can be tricky,
they
but
sure can.
the stunt people were super cool, and we were a family. Our
Mm,
first team, we were tight. I mean, we were really really tight. After we left, it became the alphabet soup. Everybody came in there. Actors changed, some people changed. Everybody got a shot. But we were the OGs, man. We were there
yeah.
first, and it was special. It was
Mm.
really special.
Did you miss it when you left?
Um, I think I meant the crew, everybody was so cool.
Yeah.
Everybody was, I mean, it was a family. So
It sounds
yeah,
like you missed the people more so than the work.
yeah, I was done. I was done
Okay.
getting in that suit. I was done with that helmet that you couldn't breathe in, you couldn't see. I was done. I was like, I don't ever want to even look at a Power Ranger again. But I also know what that did for my career.
Sure.
It opened up every door.
What happens next?
I did a
Is
show called WMAC Masters. I was
yeah.
asked to get on board on
Little
that.
show that we've talked about on here. We've had a few of those folks on as well.
I was like, wow, this is really cool. I get to play myself. But there's a double-edged sword to that also because it wasn't a reality show. It was completely scripted, completely choreographed, and yet we're using our names like Bridgett Baby Doll Riley. So when I don't get to win a fight, I had a problem with that. Like I was like, what do you mean? Like, well, it's choreographed. I understand choreography, but you know what it looks like? It looks like I'm really getting beat, and I wouldn't get beat if this was real. And
Mm,
so of course, we're fighters. We got a little bit of ego. Um, I didn't like that part of it,
mm,
but besides that, I got to get close to like I don't. I also had a thing with I really don't want to be around chicks. I just didn't really. I was like, they would pair us up. We'd have to stay together. This was non-union also,
yeah.
and but I ended up getting to be friends with Christine Bannon Rodriguez, who now I love. And we had the best time. And Michelle Mouse Krasno back then, I was like, don't
Yeah.
ever run me with her. We roomed together. She became like my little sister. Like I just
Yeah.
wanted to take care of her. I loved her. So it was really neat. We just to be honest, we just went out and party. There was these clubs. We thought we were it, man. We thought we were it. And we had so much fun. We would
Mm.
film and shoot and go out and party, and it was just we filmed at Universal Studios, and it was really one of the best times of my life. I had such a blast on that show. That was a big party.
It sounds like a lot of fun. And I imagine some of that is because of the caliber of people. I've had a chance to talk to quite a few of those people. I saw Christine a week and a half ago. She's one of my favorite people. She's just the best. She's such a great person. And
Love her.
you run down through that list. There isn't a single person on that list that I've met that I don't like. Now, obviously, I'm not I'm not rooming with them. I don't know them on that level. I'm not getting to work with them for days, weeks, months out of the year. But I've been doing this long enough. I think I've got a pretty good sense as to who the good people are and who the ones coming on the show and just kind of putting on a face.
Yeah,
And no, she's awesome.
she's super cool. I just saw her at the reunion at the U.S. Open in
Yeah, how did
Orlando.
that go?
That was so much fun. I did not know really honestly what to expect. And
Yeah.
Carmichael Simon, who I love, he's like, "Come on, baby doll," and then Sophia Crawford, who's one of my dear, dear friends. I love her. And we hadn't seen each other in forever.
Mm.
And it was and Chris Casamassa, who I love, and Hakeem. Oh my gosh. I was like, this
This
is
is a trip.
great. He's so funny. He's so funny. But I had such a good time, and I got to meet this whole team. Um, all the people that Carmichael has surrounded himself with are top notch, and they're wonderful. And we had a blast. It was better than I ever expected. I'm so glad I
Awesome.
went.
I'm glad.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So I think a lot of people would agree WMAC Masters may gone a little bit longer. I think most of us in the martial arts world look at that and say, we would have liked a little bit more. I don't know how you felt being in it, but where did you
There's
go
a story.
next?
Yeah,
What's
there's a
that?
story.
There's a
There's a
story?
story.
You want to tell the
Yep, yep,
story?
yep. Sure.
I'll hear the story.
You're the story. Um, yeah, so I feel like that show was ahead of its time. It was
Mm,
everything's timing. Everything is. And I think if that show would have been done today or earlier today, it would have been huge.
sure.
But it just didn't take off like everybody really expected, you know? And I don't know why. But anyway, so I did season 1, and I was supposed to come back for season 2, and like just a couple things happened. I was getting ready for a world title. I broke my toe on the show. I had to turn my fight down. Um, and then something else happened. Oh, I got to audition for the Glimmer Man film with Steven Seagal. And at this time, and I'm still a new kind of stunt girl, and everybody was there. Everybody in stunts was there to audition for this thing.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, Steven Seagal was like, he lined us up. It was such a trip. He lined us up. He's looking at all of us, just walking up and down, and he paired us off. And I wasn't a choreographer. We had to make up a fight on the spot and then show it. Well, um, it went really well for me. He picked me, so I got the role. So I go back to tell WMAC Masters, the producers at the time. I said, "Hey, this is my first like big film in LA,
Yeah.
like, and I got a little part, and I'm gonna be like the first female to fight Steven Seagal. This is gonna be great." And they're like, "Oh,
People may forget because this is like his peak. He didn't have a long like he wasn't a big deal for long, but for that period of time, if we've got younger folks in the audience, he was a huge deal. It's hard to remember that like 3 year span.
that was it."
Everything was Seagal. Like he was the action star for that period
He
of
was
time.
like Jason Statham now.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like he
which is
was.
such a weird. It's true. I would agree, but that's such a weird comparison now, isn't it? To say that about that man now.
You just don't do
Still
it.
want him on the
Uh,
show. Seagal, if you're out there, still want you on the show. So you
yeah,
go
yeah, it was
you
great.
go back and you're telling them that you've got this gig and what do
It's
they
not even
say?
going to take that long to film. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is a great, and they're like, no, you're scheduled. We need you here. You can't. No, you got to turn it down. I was
They
just
made you
like,
choose.
are you crazy? I go, this is good for you. This is good
Yeah.
publicity for the show. Like nobody else at that time was really doing. I mean, I was like, what? And I was so upset that I said, I'm picking Glimmerman. So I
Yeah.
made my decision. And I remember somebody made a comment to me, oh, you you really think you can act? Pfft. And I was just like, wow, that's just me. That's just me. And but I'm not bitter. I'm just like, whatever. Yeah, I probably can't, but at least I'm getting some work. And I could do nothing but get better if I suck that bad. So so I made my choice, and I did not go back for season 2. And I did Glimmerman. So Glimmerman was great because there was really some old timers, legit stuntmen, some of the best in the business. I was surrounded. I mean, Chad Stahelski was on set. Like, you name it. There was, I mean,
Mm,
Jeff Amata. I mean, just these icon stuntmen
mm.
were in this big scene. David Wall. I mean, I can go on and on. And I'm like, wow, I get to fight Seagal. And so we're working out the fight. It's a pretty awesome fight. And he's really tall, and he's like, "Oh, why don't you kick me up here?" And I'm like, he's holding my leg up in the air. I'm like, well, this is a stretch. I'm not very flexible, but I did it, and the fight was awesome. And then at the end of the day, they had to come up and tell me that the fight got taken out of the movie because at that time there was a little controversy with Seagal and I guess his wife at the time, um, from Weird Science. I don't even know, but I know that fight didn't get put in there. It was edited out. And I
So
was
sorry.
devastated. I know. I was just like, this was my big break. I mean, and I've had a series of those. So I'm this was my first one. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I was like, now, oh, and then I broke my foot hanging out with a bunch of stunt guys doing stupid stuff in a rhino. We flipped it. I got stuck underneath it, trying to show off, being real tough, and my foot was broken. So I'm in a boot. And so I had lost another film I booked and a commercial with Isaac Florentine, who was directing. You know, he's done Undisputed. He's done some good things, and I love Isaac. I've worked with Isaac quite a few times. He's like, Brigitte, this is gonna be a great film for you. Well, I lost everything. I lost all that. So WMAC Masters is gone. The Glimmer Man, my thing got taken out. I was like, oh.
You must be feeling pretty low at this point.
I was in a real
Oh,
depression, and I didn't have any fights. My foot was broke. I couldn't fight. And I was like, what am I going to do? So my best friend said, come to Florida. I went on a vacation with her. I healed, got back. I get a phone call from Jeff Amata, and he says, I got a show that you're going to be perfect for, but you know, you kind of need to come and the producers need to see you put together something. So I went, and it's when I met Mike Gunther, who was he's an amazing director now, but he
mm,
was a stunt guy back then. And I met Mike, and Jeff Amata said, "Okay, you guys just work something out, and it's gonna be a show and tell. All these
mhm.
producers are gonna come in." And I was just like, "Oh my God," my heart was just like, you know what I mean? It was like a TV series, like within itself. All the producers come in
Yeah.
and they're watching us, and we just got down. We just got down, man. We put this cool fight together, and they're like, "You're the girl." So I doubled the leap. It was 5.5 months of work on a TV series called Spy Game that didn't get picked up for season 2, but that window just got me back. Like it was, I was nervous. Like I'm gonna have to go
Yeah.
back to St. Louis with my tail between my legs. And so yeah, that literally that was a great thing. And on that show, because of Jeff Amata,
Yeah.
I met everybody in stunts.
Right.
Instead of us having to go out and hustle, like we have to hustle back then before 911, 9/11, we hustled, all the time to get work. And it was great because I was doubling the lead, number one on, the call
Hmm.
sheet. And it was every single episode, all kinds of stunt guys had to come in. So I was meeting everybody. I mean, it was, and working with everybody. And so it was just like, this is a dream come true for a young, new stunt girl. Couldn't have
Yeah.
got better. Couldn't have gotten better.
Yeah. And what I think's kind of interesting is I think a lot of people think, and only people outside of the industry seem to think this. You go to Hollywood and it happens, right? Once you hit, you're good, and Hollywood will carry you forever. But what I'm hearing from you, yeah, it's that it's these cycles. But what kept getting you to the next opportunity was how hard. What I'm think I'm hearing you working so hard on the last one, even though that fight scene got cut from Glimmerman, it was Amada seeing you saying you did a good job.
Yes,
I'm willing to put my reputation on the line to recommend you because I believe you'll work just as hard here. And you kept working hard, which to me, I mean, this is martial arts, right? We keep showing up, we keep putting in the time, doing the reps. You have good days and bad days, and eventually, over time, you take a step back and you're like, wow, look at this progress.
absolutely. You just nailed it. And it is the hard work. You can't take any shortcuts. You got to do the work. You got to put that work in. And there are just no shortcuts. That I know 1,000% in everything. And I was I'm a hard worker,
Mhm.
and I mean I don't, even if I don't get it right off the bat, I'll get it. I'll go home. I won't stop until I have it. And once I have it, I own it. It's mine. So I know that about me, and I know about like repetition. I'm like, let's do it again. Let's do it again. I mean, sometimes They're like, again, let's do it again. Let's do it again. It's, repetition is your friend.
Mhm.
And that's and you're as good as who you surround yourself with. So I knew I had to get the right team, the right people, everything, and I was fortunate because I met, well, gosh, I met Mike Gunther, then I met Chad Stahelski. We fought together. I mean, I fought I fought everybody, all these legends like were coming in, and I'm getting to fight them. And that's when Chad, we got close, and he's like, you need to come and train with me. I want you on my team. And so that was pretty cool. Way back then. This is before 8711. This is when it was smash cut. I mean, it was like Brad Martin, Marcus Young, David Leach, who's now an amazing director, and all these guys are doing great things. And Mike Smith, and just like all these guys. And but I was Chad's girl back then. He was putting me on everything. He was training me, and I did a little short with, so it was Chad Stahelski, David Leach, it called Fetch. And David he played the lead, and it was just a short, and Daniel Bernhardt directed it. And I was like, this is cool. And Chad knew, what was cool about him compared to other stunt coordinators, they'll put the previs together. They'll ask you, like, help out. What do kind of put it together? Where with Chad, I walk in, he's already got it completely. It's already dialed in. It's already completely coordinated. He's like, we're just going to teach you it. He knew me. He knew my moves. He knew what I can do, what I can't do.
Mm.
And that's special. That's a special thing. So, because our previs for the movie Serenity, which is also my demo reel, um, that that fight was so awesome. And it's all the guys, all these stunt guys, and the reactions and the wire work
Mm.
and I'm like, not everybody, they'd want me to reproduce that. I go, you got to bring in Chad Stahelski then. You know what I mean? And I can't say that to another coordinator hiring me. You know what I mean? So that was interesting thing for me to learn, like, okay, I better get creative and I better have ideas on the spot, because a lot of coordinators are like, I'm leaving you the set today. I'm like, what? What? Like, that's happened a couple times. And I'm like, okay. And so I wish I, through the years, stayed training harder with Chad, especially when he
Mhm.
went to 8711. Life happens, and I was still fighting. I didn't want to be married to stunt work. I wanted to be married to fighting.
Mm.
And so all this is going on, and I'm getting all these other shows and films and fighting. Um, Gosh, what happened? Where's my train of thought? So then
I
some of the
if
fights. Go
I
ahead.
can, if it doesn't derail you,
No, not at
let me
all.
ask.
Please.
So, what's the conversation around the Jet Center with all this? Because yeah, this puts money in your pocket. It allows you to live, but I can't imagine that this is making it easier to train because of, my understanding, everything on set is long periods of time. Yeah, there's a lot of downtime. Yeah, you can probably go for runs and you can do some training. You probably
Mhm.
even have some great training partners around,
Yes.
but they're not the people at the Jet Center that are guiding you.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, so a lot of things were happening simultaneously. Like the Jet Center, we were going to be transitioning to the Jet Gym, and the Jet
Mm.
Center was sort of coming to an end, which was very sad, but it was time. And gosh, Lily was so cool, and Blinky, they were so wonderful towards me when I was working. They're like,
Mm.
this is good for you. They cared more about what was just really good for me than anything. I mean, they were my spiritual family. They got me closer to God.
Mm.
Um, I just that We were family. They were like my second set of parents. And Lily was everything. She was my best friend, my mentor. I never laughed as hard in my life like how I would laugh with Lily. Blinky would even look at us and go, "How do you guys do that? How do you have that? Like, man, I'm jealous." And she did everything. She would make my clothes, make my outfits. We'd design them. She took me everywhere. She'd pick me up, give me food. I mean, make sure, baby doll, Bridget, are you resting? Are you incredible? So I juggled it. I'm like, I can do this, in between. And I never really had super long of a film where I was out of the country or out of California. Back then, I did a lot of stuff in town. Some things were out, but so we would just train, get me in shape, and let's go fight. Let's go
Mm,
fight. Let's do this. And never was I happier. I mean,
mm,
I can't stress how much I'd be on set. So grateful, but at the same time, so longing to just be back in the gym. So, but at this time also, kickboxing fights were starting to get further and further apart. And this is when, like, I was like, let's do boxing. Let's do it
mm,
too. And Blinky's like, that'll get you more fights. So we did it. We jumped into boxing. And that's when I fell in love with boxing. I mean, boxing is I'll always be a martial artist and a kickboxer. But boxing, I was like, oh my gosh, and I'm a huge Rocky fan. So anyway, boxing became my everything.
mm.
Especially when I signed with Don King. With Don King, I had to stop the
Wait,
stunts.
hold on. No, hold on. You can't just throw that in there like every, like it's an inevitable part of everyone's journey. You signed with Don King?
Eventually, it took
Okay.
time, because first it was like Peter Brody, and it was Event Entertainment, Rick Koulis, and it was Ten Goose with the Goosens. And I fought for Sugar Ray Leonard, I fought for De La Hoya. But when I signed with King, I already had a world title in boxing, but he wasn't going to honor it. So he said, if you want to sign with me, we're not honoring that. I have the IFBA bantamweight world title in boxing that I won, live on ESPN2, and it was a great fight against Yvonne Trevino, who's amazing. She was my pro debut also. Interesting, right? Full circle. She was
Yeah.
my pro debut, and then she gave me that. She was the champion too, so you got to really beat a champion. But it was a great fight. It was nonstop action for 10 rounds, and so I had the world title. I was like, wow, this is great. Cut to Don. I wanted to fight for Don King because that's back when I started seeing Christy Martin coming out on Mike Tyson cards.
Mhm.
We were all watching the fights at Lily and Blinky's house, fight party. We always had them. And we see this girl in pink walking up to the ring. I said, what? I mean, like, stop. I was like, why isn't that me? That should be
Mm.
me. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And another full circle, I just worked on her movie.
Cool.
With Sydney. I had a little fight scene with Sydney Sweeney. I can't say a whole lot about it because we did have to sign the NDAs, but
Sure.
hopefully that's coming out in November. But so way back, I mean, just full circle, right? So when I signed with Don King, I had to let go. Nobody ever beat me for my world title, but I had to let it go. I had to just
That must have
walk
been
away.
hard.
It was really hard. But
Oh.
I was also like, well, Don King put me on the Evander Holyfield Lennox Lewis one card at Madison Square Garden. I fought on a card with like Johnny Tapia. I mean, I'm getting on these really cool cards, and I'm the only female fight, and it was pretty amazing. So
Yeah.
it's just been a really great run.
Yeah. So this is where inevitably I make an observation, and this time it's going to be a little bit differently. We there have been enough people who have worked in film, whether that, camera work, stunt work, that are also martial artists. And it seems pretty clear that, most of them are either martial artists who acted or actors who did martial arts. But there's something kind of unique in your story that I'm finding really interesting in that most of what you've discussed about your acting work sounds reluctant, at least a little bit. For so many people, that was the goal, that to fight was the stepping stone.
I always
And
do things backwards. I always do things backwards. My whole
but
life.
but I've never met anyone who took these detours and kept saying, "No, I want to go back and get punched in the face." That's the place that I like, that's really what I love. And I think it's what amazes me about it is you found that thing that you love so early, so young. And if we take that small step before that, you just knew, here you are, you're doing gymnastics, maybe not at the top level, but you're doing well with it.
I did.
And obviously it played a role in what you were able to do in the future, but
Really
but it,
helps.
it sounds like there was just some part of you that knew, no, this is the path I need to go on. And maybe at 15 you can't explain that, but you knew it well enough and you committed to it. And that just blows my mind because so few people do.
I really have to say this. I know it was God
Mm,
because big doors would shut, not only shut, slam in my face, where I thought, why did this happen? Now what? And it was just a redirection. So your biggest failures can launch you or end you. Mine launched me. My failures made me. They redirected my path. And I didn't know what was going on because I was just like, I was a flight attendant for like 3 months and I moved to New York and I was I was young. They not normally don't hire you. And I got fired. And I was just like, gosh, I'm such a loser. And I was I I I was dancing back in St. Louis. I had this little group, and my best friend Kim, we were dancing at the time, and so on all my and I was a flight attendant out of New York, so I was flying out of LaGuardia and JFK, and I kept missing my flights to get back
mm,
up there because of the weather. And they call me in, they're like, maybe this really isn't for you, and I'm like, sure it is. And they're like, well, we kind of think it's not. I'm like, well, what are you trying to say? And like, we're letting you go. I was like, what? But see, if that didn't happen, so I'm all over the place. But I remember I called my mom. I
yeah.
said, Mom, they fired me. I was devastated. I was crying. She said, baby, you just get on that plane, you come on home.
Mm,
So I went home, and my mom, though, she's like, you're either going to college or you're getting a job. And I was like, "Ugh, great." Because I would make money at karate tournaments, because winning grand champion, which I won a lot of, I would make money there, and dancing. We would win all these dance contests.
mm,
I'm like, I'm a hustler, I'm like, we're making money. And she's like, no, you got to get a real job. Because I was going to go to college. I made the cheerleading squad. It was unbelievable. I came in on the third day of the clinic, and I made it. And
mm,
it was all older people, and it was going to be so much fun. I was going to go to Cape Girardeau, and that's when I saw a flight attendant, because I was teaching UDA, Universal Dance Association. I was going
mhm,
all around the country teaching these dance camps. This is before LA. Like, my life was busy. And I saw this flight attendant. I was like, hey, how'd you get to do that? And she goes, they're hiring right now, because TWA was a big hub in St.
mm,
Louis. And
mhm,
I lived in St. Louis. And I went in and I got the job. So I told my mom, I'm not going to go to college. She said, what? You made the cheerleading? I go, no, I really want to do this flight attendant stuff. This is going to be great. I'm going to get to move to New York. It was always my dream to live in New York. So then I do that and I get fired. So then here we are again. And I'm like, but if that didn't happen, and I'm sorry, I'm just all
no,
rambling.
please, please.
There's an end to this. I felt like the biggest loser.
Mm,
And my mom said, you're going to go to work at a bank. Her best friend, who my maid of honor when I got married, she practically raised us. She babysat us she changed my diapers.
mm,
Okay. She got me a job at this bank downtown St. Louis. I work at the bank. A couple months, I get laid off. I'm like, what? And so I started collecting unemployment. That is how I started training in kickboxing, like full time, because I was collecting unemployment. And so, so like every little thing, all these things that seem so horrible were so great, because it allowed me to get to do that. And I wouldn't have
mm,
been the fighter if I didn't have that time to put in, like it was
yeah.
just cool. Yeah.
This is one of those life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy.
I think we all have examples of things that we wanted that we didn't get, and we realize when we look back, oh, I'm so thankful, right? I mean, I've
Right?
got a list that I go through periodically. And I go through it every time something that I want to happen doesn't happen. And I feel bad
Yes.
about it. And then I go back and say,
Yes.
okay, remember these other things that you wanted to happen that didn't happen that you were glad they didn't happen? This is one of those. And you're like, all right, other me, I'll trust you, right? But you're
You're
skeptical.
so
But
right.
what about now?
Hmm.
What is
Yeah.
what is your relationship to martial arts now?
Well, okay. So I retired from fighting in 2004,
Okay.
and then I got in a stunt group, and then I just worked in the business for
Mm,
a long time. And then I got married, and then I left LA in 2012, which I never thought I would. But it was, again, one of the best things. So I'm in Florida, and I'm like, I can go back and forth. I can go back and forth because my whole career has been in LA. I'm an LA local.
mhm.
Well, then 2019, I was diagnosed with cancer. So that was like taking a bullet. That was like, what? How can this be me? I can get hit with a car, but getting hit with cancer just really about ended me. And it was stage 3 rectal cancer.
Mm.
Not very glamorous, but it happened, and I don't know how. I don't know why. I didn't have major symptoms.
Hold on, pardon my laughing. Are any of them glamorous? Is there a hierarchy of cancers that you'd rather? Okay, this one's a little sexier than this one.
Well, rectal cancer. I mean, that is like, come on, for a girl, like, come on, and it was horrible.
I have things I can say, but I don't know you that well, and it's not this kind of show. So
Oh,
I'll
I
just
know,
let you
I know,
keep
I
going.
know.
I'm sure you've heard. I'm sure any joke I could come up with, your friends have shared with you. So I'll let you
You
keep going.
have to laugh. At the end of the day, you got to laugh, and laughter is medicine.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was a blow. That was a real blow for my husband and
Mm,
me and my family. And I just got, and it's so overwhelming because everybody in LA is like, oh, you can't do chemo. You can't do chemo. It'll kill you before the cancer. And I'm like, well, you get cancer and you make that decision because this is my one life. So
yeah.
my husband and me, Bob, we fasted. We prayed. We got
Yep.
with God.
Yeah.
And everybody has an opinion and they mean well, but I had to stiff arm people. I had to go into my bubble and
Yeah.
I had to figure out what I want to do. And thank God, I mean, I was surrounded with an incredible team. I did the surgeries, I did chemo, I did radiation, and it it had a number on me. It
Mm,
changed me. It changed a lot of my insides. It changed my flexibility. I can't kick high anymore. Not that I could ever kick straight up like Christine Bannon, but I could kick pretty high. And I could, you know, now, I mean, I'm lucky. I just cannot kick high.
mm,
So my body's different. Plus I've had 2 hip replacements like Christine. Christine's the
mm.
one who recommended me the anterior approach. So I've been putting myself back together again. I'm in remission from cancer. Thank God
Congratulations.
they got it. I have no rectum. They took my rectum. I had to wear an
Mm,
ileostomy bag. For anybody who knows about that, that's a big party right there, right? I'm
yeah.
like, what? I woke up from surgery with a bag. They rerouted my intestines, pulled it
Mm-hmm.
out of my stomach,
Mm-hmm.
slapped the bag on. Now I could teach a class in it. I had it for a year because of COVID. And then they did the reversal. They put me back together again. So I'm like Humpty Dumpty. And then I did all the chemo and the radiation, and it's been a lot. It's been a lot. So since 2019, um, I fought it, and I literally, when I rang the bell, my mom got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer the following day. Her cancer returned. She fought kidney cancer. So that was like the hardest thing. Like, let it be me. I can do this, but not my mom. My mom was my girl. She was my everything.
Yeah.
So I was, one of her caregivers and took care of her. And she didn't have the happy ending I did. She passed away in 22, and she, that was really hard because I'm not very close to a lot of females, and she was my girl.
Mm,
Besides Lily, not so I lost Lily, I lost my mom, and but right before she got really bad, like she couldn't hardly talk anymore. It was cancer's ugly. It is ugly and it doesn't discriminate and it can hit anyone at any time. So I I really really stress, go do your scans, go to the doctor,
yep.
get checked up,
Yep.
it's no joke. If you catch it early, you know, but they're coming far with treatment today. And anyway, but one of the last things my mom said to me right before she went, she said, because I thought I was just done with everything life. I'm going to just sit in my house because I'm not the same. I'm different. I will never be completely normal. I have issues. And my mom looked right at me and she said, "You're not done, Bridgett. You're not done. I promise you, you are not finished. You get back out there and you go do it. And you just believe in yourself again and take the risk, take the chances." So that's what I've been doing. I'm, back up on my horse. I'm training again. I'm training people. I have a guy I train with Parkinson's, boxing, and there's some cool stuff I have in the near future, but I can't say anything yet. But I'm
That's
pretty
okay.
excited. Life has begun again, and I am stopping to smell the roses. And I'm so grateful. I'm so appreciative of every day. Like really, it's not just a bunch of lip service. Like I am still alive. So I'm kind of okay, God, what do you got? What you
Yeah.
got? Bring it. Come on, let's go.
It's heavy. And I'm not gonna make some, you know, junction statement here that wraps it together and pretends that I understand because I don't. I would just, I guess, thank you for sharing that part. That's, one
You're welcome.
one of the things that I think we're able to do with this show is let people know that, they're not alone, whatever the experiences are, right? Whatever the challenges are. Um, Other people are going through it. Other people have gone through it. Other people have come out the other side.
Absolutely. And I love what you just said. That's one of the because I speak sometimes. I've done a lot of public speaking now. I want to share my story, and I feel like it's part of my mission now. And I am candid. Like you want to know something, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
And I love what you said. You're not alone. So many people that you have no idea are going through it, and they're fighting it. And there's hope. There's hope. I promise you. Don't give up. And it's your mindset. And just no matter what these doctors say, whatever that report is, it can be so ugly. And I know it is the scariest thing ever, ever. But don't give up hope. And there's power in prayer. And that I have to stress because there is power in prayer.
And it's documented. If you don't believe
Yeah.
me, you can go look this stuff up. There's
I know.
there's more than enough research. And
I know.
we
I love
can,
it.
yeah. Yeah, I mean we can disagree on why it works. I don't care. I don't care if why somebody out there thinks it works, but it works. And
And
sometimes we have fights you have to throw everything at, and you'd
yeah.
be silly to leave that one on the back burner.
Hmm. Yeah.
People want to get a hold of you. How do they do that? Or follow what you're doing? Website, social, email, any of that stuff. You said you're speaking. If people want to hire you for an engagement,
Okay,
how do
so
we do that?
I'm the worst at all this stuff. Like Blinky used to do all this for me. I was had people do everything. I'm on Facebook. You can see me. I don't even know the address though, but Bridgett Riley,
Okay.
and I'm on Instagram, which I'm not as good at. I'm still trying to figure out how to work it. I just got on TikTok. Ugh, I did not want to do that, but everybody's telling me you got to be on TikTok.
TikTok.
But
I have the most fun on TikTok. I really do.
yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta figure out how to even use it.
Yeah.
You just post like short videos, right? There's no like, and it's like,
The max is 10 minutes now, which is
oh.
good because keeping myself under a minute was really challenging.
Okay, I gotta get with the program. But on Instagram, I'm all lowercase letters, Bridgett underscore baby doll underscore Riley. And it's linked to my Facebook. So
Right. And we'll get that stuff linked up in the show notes for folks out there. So if you're driving in the car, you don't have to take notes or, don't look at your phone, just listen or watch, right? Like, well, don't watch while you're driving. Watch what you're driving. Watch the road.
yeah, what you said.
Yeah. Awesome. Bridget, how do we close up today? What do we want to leave the audience with?
Hmm. I just I want to encourage you. I want to encourage everybody to, it's not over till it's over.
Mm,
And we can always reset and restart. And uh, I'm proof of it. I mean, I thought I was Mickey Rourke and a wrestler. Like, what am I going to go do? Be a butcher? Like, what? Because so young, I'm like, you can't fight forever. That was hard. That when I retired from fighting, that was really hard. Stunts, I don't have the same, I have a skill set, but not the same skill set I used to have. But I'm still here. I can still thump. I can rock and roll. So it's not over till it's over. And don't give up. Don't lose hope. And when you do decide to do something, do it with everything. There are no shortcuts, and get with the right people. And it's okay to fail. Failure can launch you. So just trust that. Trust this process. And when you're getting redirected, okay, just keep it together. Calm down, breathe, and be open to try new things. At one point, I went through a thing. No, 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 no. And I know there's power in the word no, and no can be a full sentence. But at the same time, say yes. Why not? Why not? Say yes. So that's my thing right now. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start saying yes more often.
I hope my
Bridgett, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Can you
We have two extremes here. You have great hair, and I have none.
Thank you.
Well done. Way to show me up on my own show. I'm just
See
kidding.
how I am?